Yo, got beans and eggs for breakfast. Who knew? It's alright. It ain't the best. The awesome tortilla makes it worthwhile. I don't think I'd try it at home though. So the lady inside, I was just witnessing to her. But when I got here last night, the other lady that was here, of course, they're probably 25 or whatever. They look like they're about 12 though, because they're real short. And I'm down here in San Antonio, so the Texicans are here. So I don't know how to explain it, but it's they're on the whiter side of Mexico. You know what I mean? And bilingual and all that kind of stuff. But they're small in stature, so they just seem like kids to me, right? So the one last night, she said, "Are you some kind of preacher?" No, she said, "Are you a preacher?" And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to church it up, be all, I don't have a congregation and all kind of stuff like that, but, I just like to talk about God all the time because He's done so much for me. I want everybody else to experience the same peace and peace of mind and understand, how to act appropriately. You hear the word inappropriate all the time, but to be appropriate is to, do it His way. I just told this one in here, I said, if I went to your house and you had rules at your house, don't wear muddy boots in the carpet, and if I respect you and I respect your house, I would comply with your request. But it's more than a request because it's your house, it's your rules. Well, with God, the earth is His house, so it's His rules, okay? Now, you don't want muddy boots in your carpet because you want to keep your carpet nice. That way when people come over, you have nice carpet. So actually, it's for the visitation and the people that live there, but also for the other people. So it's in everybody's best interest that we don't wear muddy boots in the carpet. And then that practice will have other side effects. Like, I'll stop and consider, should I do this? Should I do that? Whatever. I say, well, that's, God made the earth. So if we read the Bible and we read like the Ten Commandments and then, and we see all these things, we're like, wow, this is substantial and I've messed this up. And then I realize that, if I want to drive a car, like I need to read the driver's manual and then I need to stay in my lane so I don't have a wreck. So like, I don't want to kill nobody and I don't want to, tear up my car or get killed myself. So it's very appropriate to read the rules of the road and be licensed in the, wherever you drive. That way you're safe. That way you're acting appropriately so everybody's better off. So it's my responsibility to do my part in the community. It's your responsibility to do your part in the community and everything too. Well, we all know that God's way is best because He created the earth. So, much like an owner's manual and the manufacturer's specifications, we should, change the oil in the car, and she was really thrilled. The one last night said, she was like, "Oh, you just make my day." And that one, I mean, just cute as a button. But I had like them gross tattoos. Looked like I don't know. It's somewhere between smeared grease and like the bottom of a desk when you was in middle school. Something all the way up her arm. I was just like, Was somebody practicing or something? I did, the work interaction. They said something about they appreciated the advice and stuff. So I guess a lot of places don't support the gospel. You know what I mean? I think they actually put up with some of my bullshit because I spread Bibles and stuff. So like, it's 2025. What's the chances of finding some place to work at with, you know, all my flaws and everything else like that, and then drive a truck, which Kenworth was always my favorite truck since back in the 90s. And I hate the electric gauges. And I've looked at, I don't know how many trucks, and this truck and another one just like it, F-34, and the one before that, 244, they all got all the gauges. So like the perfect equipment, doing a good job. I had to come to take this job because the situation of steady work, W-2, equipment, gotta get the mortgage, can't lose the house. All necessity, not discipline. So, the discipline is awesome and everything like that, and the self-will and the pushing through and all sort of kind of stuff. But like the working out or whatever and all that kind of stuff, you know, it's like a vanity to me, really. I'm not dying of diabetes or anything else like that, but I preemptively take on the I'll do the things that people do to reverse diabetes so I don't get diabetes. That's real good. And then, you know, with these ELDs, and you have to do a, you know, at least a 7-3 split. That's substantially more sleep than we used to get out here. That cuts down on the stroke. So I have to give God the prompting. Now, I'm very disciplined, and if I tell you I'm going to do something for you, I'm going to do it. You know, and that comes from the contracting side, and being honest with people and stuff like that, and doing a good job and making sure it's done, and do all your work as if you're doing it for the Lord Himself. Well, I noticed a long time ago, and I said it for years, I'm like, just talk about Jesus all the time. I was scared to read the law. So I was like, if I read it, then I'm held accountable. But that was ignorant. That was childish. I have the entire book. If I don't read it, then I didn't do what I was expected to do. So just because I don't have the knowledge of the first half of the Bible, I mean, that's kind of like being like one of them dudes, like when I first heard the gospel, I was like, I'll do whatever I want. Repent on my deathbed, I beat the system. You know what I mean? And childish mentality. And then whether or not I read the Mosaic Law, childish mentality. I have the whole book. So He expects me to read the whole book. It's there, it's available. And I make the choice to choose Him, to choose life, to find a deeper knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, I can talk to these girls in here, but they ain't my wife. I don't know that lady's name. I don't know where she lives, her birthday, what kind of flowers she likes, all that stuff, right? Don't even care. I'm not trying to find out, because, like, man, I tell you what. Well, it's tires and something else that'll give you trouble. But just keep it clean. If you know, you know. And that's funny right there. You don't know it's not. Anyway. Well, eggs and beans, I don't know if I can't recommend it for sure. I paid for it, so I'm going to eat it. Why is it doing that? Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, you got to read it, right? Well, I knew that if you talk about Jesus all the time, it draws in the good ones, and it runs off the bad ones, right? So, years and years later, finally, I'm just like, man, I better read this law, I guess. I've probably been around 9 years of talking about Jesus all the time. Read it again. And then, probably 20 years past, should have known. And just walking out what I found to be effective. Okay? So, like, if I find a new nail gun, you know what I mean? I'm going to buy the new nail gun. This air compressor don't run out of air while 5 guys are shingling. I'm buying that air compressor. It makes sense. It's effective. It works. So, if my quest to do right, I'm trying to make this thing quit making that noise. There we go. Anyway, so if my quest to do right, I always keep going with what works, right? So I noticed that people would see me, once I had a reputation about talking about the Bible constantly, it draws in the good ones, it runs off the bad ones. Years and years later, I think it's Deuteronomy 6, 7, again in 11. It literally says the steps. It's like, do this, and you will experience heaven on earth. My pastor told me that. I only had one pastor my whole life. He passed away. Your dad did, but he ain't churchy. Grandpa died a long time ago. So looking at the Bible, it says God the Father, your dad. The people showed up and talked to Jesus, and they're like, hey, your mom's here. Your mom and your brothers are here. So he said, these are my brothers and sisters. Talking about the disciples. That's why I address all my messaging and stuff to the kinfolk. I'm grafted in to the kingdom. Part of the Am family. You know, I am. So when I read the law and I agree with it, in that moment I have the mind of Christ, and I am in oneship. I am in agreement. I'm of one accord with God. That's a very big deal. And then, apparently if I write some stuff on my gate post, keep some reminders on my non-predominant hand. I used to wear a key ring all the time. So when I put the gloves on and take it off, the ring comes off. It's just something about before the frontlets of your eyes. So I pray for clarity over my glasses, so I can literally see better. I see up close just fine, and these glasses are like binoculars, by the way, and I can see that behind me because of reflection, because they're wide. However, I pray I think enchantment is the wrong word. But if there's such things as enchanted items, you can plead the blood of Jesus over your prescription lenses, your sunglasses, whatever, and put them on. And I am seeing clearly. You know what I mean? For the psychologist out there, it doesn't matter if God's real or not. If that's what you really believe, it's real for you on a certain level. Now, I know God is real. I've seen evidence plentifully, so there's no doubt. I don't believe in God. I know God. There is a distinct difference. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a very distinct, scary situation. If you think you're going to beat God and not be scared, and the hardships. Man, it's so difficult. New levels, new devils. As you grow in your age and stage, increasing, there's no top of the ladder. I heard a guy one time, he said, at the top of the mountain of evidence that the scientist climbs, when he gets there, he'll see all these theologians, and they'll be like, yeah, that's what we were talking about. And I'm like, I think y'all plateaued, and there's like, you know, the Alps is right over there, like you're on top of the hill. You're like you plateaued out in, you know, western Oklahoma somewhere. But there's the Rockies, and then there's the Alpine. You know, like it gets a lot bigger. It just keeps getting bigger. You know, his holy mountain has not been. Nobody's reached the pinnacle. Yeah, that's a solid statement. No one has reached the pinnacle. We can all improve. We can all do better. If nothing else, realize that today you are not at the top of this deal. You know what I mean? There's a song where they say, I hope you still feel small when you stand next to the ocean. Okay? And it's like a country song. The guy sounds like he's like crying all the time. Yeah, this is my wish, or whatever. Hope your day's real good and you're sitting real long. Where you're out there getting where you're getting to. I hope you know somebody loves you, feels the same way too. Yeah, this is my wish. But he's kind of a crying around type of guy. There's a time and a place for everything, boys. The hardest dude on the battlefield at freaking Hacksaw Ridge never fired a shot. Audie Murphy. That's, yeah. Like, you may have seen the movie about Audie Murphy. There's a deal on here about the fat electrician where he talks about that company where they say, look at them old bastards go. And, you know, I got the little white and everything else like that, you know, and I watch that stuff or whatever, and I do certain things, and, you know, try to get in shape and all this kind of whatever, but, buddy, I was out there trying to crank up that landing gear yesterday, and they left the trailer too tall, so the kingpin, this snaps onto it, and then the truck pulls the trailer. Well, it connected, but it raised the drive tires up, so that breaks my traction, right? And the other truck was obviously taller, that dropped it off. So they cranked it down and everything, and then here I come, and you know, they're set up for basically off-road in Mexico, and I'm set up for, you know, low pro wind resistance and fuel mileage to get out here on the big road that's maintained. Driving across some of these roads, you would not use the word maintained, but buddy, if you see the goat trail across the mountain that they're driving down in Mexico, you'll see why they are coming here, because I mean they come from difficult places, And me being at the end of the last dirt road and everything, and understanding like just the importance of not having a flat today is like jealous of somebody's that's got like a 15-year-old vehicle that just doesn't break down every week one way or another. You know what I mean? Like this is a $200 car. You know what I mean? Like cash for clunkers is like they just pull up and they're like, no, just keep it. You know, or whatever. Anyway. So I kept that ring. That was keys to the kingdom. And then I remembered the love. And then I pray over the glasses. God to help me see straight or whatever like that. And because it says a reminder before the frontlets of your eyes. So when I see my glasses, I'm reminded of God's goodness. These things are reminders. Because in that moment that you're emotionally charged about to do something stupid, off yourself, off somebody else, cheat on your taxes, whatever, sin, it gives you that opportunity to remember. And that's, and then it says, talk about it when you wake up, talk about it in the noontime, talk about God before you go to bed. These are the steps to having heaven on earth. But I have to read that today. I'm going to drive home now. Rock Hill. It is the Sabbath. I am getting paid to do this. So on a technicality, I should go to hell because I'm breaking the law. Did Jesus die so I could go give my wife a hug today that I haven't seen? We're supposed to walk blamelessly. We're not called to walk perfectly. We should read the law so we know what's appropriate and get the gist of it, because every translation's a little bit fuckered up. And then I'm just going to throw it out there because it's true. I don't trust people that don't cuss. If they're articulating themselves in a manner where they're using different words, but I can tell they're cussing. I'm not saying cursing. I'm not casting spells and declaring curses over people. It's some kind of bullshittery that ain't right. Unrighteously bullshitting. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about welcome to motherfucking reality. You know what I mean? If they use a different word for motherfucking, but you feel the same feeling, they're conveying the same heart. I know this dude that's talking about MF reality is not referencing, what the literal. He's obviously referencing the difficulty and the striving of trying to cut the mustard, cut through the bullshit alive and just get real so we can deal with what's actually happening in our day, in our reality, in our family, in the news, whatever. You know what I mean? Can we get some straight up reality here? Can we cut the mustard on this deal? Can we get some honesty? Let our yes be yes and our no be no? Well, there's a certain fella that says, welcome to motherfucking reality. And then he tried to change it up. I did. I left a comment. I was like, look, man, I need a good motherfucking every day. And it sounds terrible, like I just told you the keys to the kingdom and how to experience heaven on earth on the one hand, and now I'm saying foul language, okay? But I don't trust people that don't keep it real. And when you keep it real, you're going to drop some F-bombs because the world is enough to make a preacher cuss. I guess that brings us back around to the beginning of this video. She said, are you some kind of preacher? I'm like, well, I've been accused of a lot worse. I'm not gonna, I was like, well, I don't like, lead a congregation or whatever, I said, but Yeah, I'm more of an evangelist. And, you know, that look, I say the evangelist is the person that goes out to find the lost. You know what I mean? Like if your dog runs off, you walk around the block a few times whistling or whatever. Yes, that's closer to what I am. You know what I mean? I'm just I say it a lot in the past. I've said it a lot describing myself. I said I got a heart bigger than Texas, but it's only about an inch thick. You know what I mean? Like, I love everybody. I will try to help you. I'm not trying to take you to raise. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I see you in passing, you know, whatever I can do to encourage you to read the Bible, that's what you're going to get out of me. Because if you'll do that, it's between you and God, and you are on the right path. I've never found a safer place to be. And if you think that I haven't said motherfucker while I was praying, you would be absolutely out of your mind. I say it like this. Man, this is really taking a hard turn, but somebody needs to hear this. My dad said, oh, goddamn, it was the funniest shit you ever seen. He did not say, oh, Creator, please cast this into hell. It was humorous the way they dropped a deuce. That's not what he's saying at all. He is articulating an emphasis on the whimsy of a situation somebody was going through, to the point that he slapped his leg with glee. If you think that God can't see the heart of what he said, and you really go, oh, well, it's like the internet dude that like points out misspelling and punctuation. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, you should try to do your best. You know what I mean? Like if your phone does the autocorrect, go ahead and push the button on the green line, reread it, make sure it's right, or whatever if it's important. Sure, okay. But you get the gist of what's being said, you know? And when people say a bunch of stuff about that, I mean, they can't see the forest for the trees. The point is so lost, and then it's caught up in this arguing. You know what I mean? This argumentative, right? So that's a trap from the devil. Okay, so the devil gets you emotionally charged, where you know, slip out some words that are less than pleasant, articulating your emotional stress. And in that moment, you're being honest. That's a very honest moment. That's why I trust people that cuss. Depending on how they cuss. Some people have been so traumatized that they will use cuss words and slang and stuff like that, and they'll have a whole conversation with 6 words, and they're very, you know, emotional. You know what I'm saying? And to find emotional stability to be able to articulate these things and look at, like, why is this guy that upset? Why is this guy that happy? The body language and everything like that, and the bad and the hurt. You know, this person, like, don't think they have parents, and then the parents they do have are not perfect, so they're mad about that or whatever, and they're taking on responsibilities, you know what I mean, that they're not ready to handle, it would seem. But the reality is God is molding them through circumstance. And if you'll take the pieces of your life that made you who you are and go back and take it to God and go back and read through, you know, New Testament is like, what am I supposed to do today in my lifetime type of thing, reality right here and now. And then what happened before, I look back to the Old Testament, right? And then, like, you know, if you want a story, if you feel like watching a movie, freaking read Exodus. It's better. The book of Exodus is, Genesis and Exodus are better than any movie entertainment you'll ever read in your life. Okay? I've seen a lot. I've been around since 1979, and I've read the Bible, and to this day, probably easily read the book of Genesis 50 times. I mean, I'm saying that with such grace. I could probably add a 0. For real. I actually think I could add a 0 to how many times I've either read the entire book of Genesis or read significant portions. Like sat down, took the time to read the book of Genesis, you know what I mean? All the way through, guaranteed 50, probably 500 where I've piece studied and went back and referenced. It's thousands. You know what I mean? But the entertainment value of some of this stuff, and then the head scratchers, and then the same way I interact with my wife and find the nuance and stuff. And I gotta, boys, you gotta interrogate them women because they don't even know what they play these games and all kinds of stuff like that. God will kind of do that too, right? So like the Rosetta Stone is enduring time with them. You know what I mean? And after you've been through trials and they still got your back and you still got their back, you know, trust is built over time. Respect is earned. You know, dignity's dignity. And then, you know, you catch more flies with honey than battery acid. You know what I mean? You want to attract your wife to you, especially if you're old. The give a shit really goes downhill as you get older. And you'll just like say whatever you're thinking. And you get this head about you where you're like, well, I'm a grown ass man. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. By God, bleep, bleep, bleep. And she's like, if you think I'm gonna put up with that, this, that, yep, 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 yep. So you gotta know how to approach your wife the way that you approached your parents. They know you messed up. You know you messed up. Own up to it. Take your lumps. Apologize. And be civil and attractive. You know what I'm saying? If it's 95 degrees in San Antonio and you've been sitting here with the air conditioner off for 33 minutes, make sure you take a shower before you walk through the door and hug your wife because you stink. And if your nose is plugged up, you don't realize how bad. If you eat beans and eggs on a tortilla, you're going to want the hot sauce. Anyways. Great Heavenly Father, I just pray right now, Lord, that whoever's watching this, that you invite them in, that you'll knock on their door today. I pray, Lord, that you give them the strength to let you in to sup. Sup, Lord. Here's some dinner. I pray, Lord, I'm amazed. I pray, Lord, for fried chicken right now. I have the unction to pray for fried chicken. Lord, I pray that you go and they let you in and y'all have dinner eating fried chicken. I know that fried chicken is what I'm supposed to pray right now. So I'm just being obedient, saying the words. I know I'm on camera. I'm talking to you. I know you know my heart, but they don't. So I'm pointing out the fact. Jesus wants to have fried chicken with you. You know what I mean? Oh, Lord, you're so personal and you're so good to us. You're so good to us. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Amen. Amen. I have never prayed for fried chicken in my life. That was a first. That was an absolute first. Well, you heard it here first. You heard my interactions. And that's real. And that happens all the time. And I hope that you find that. You know what I mean? It says pray without ceasing. Look through the lens. Like all my waking hours, I put my glasses on. How does God see this? How does God see that person? Lord, give me your eyes for just 1 second. Give me your eyes so I can see everything that I keep missing. Give me your love for humanity. Give me your arms for the brokenhearted, the ones that are far beyond my reach. Give me your heart for the ones forgotten. Give me your eyes so I can see. Yeah. Yeah. I'll put the song in the comment. I gotta get off here because I'm about to cry. I gotta drive. I'm already late. Go get them. When you go get them, you're doing it for them. You're doing it for God. And that's doing it for you. So, it all works together. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all together. And good begets good. And make sure your heart is going there and doing that for that reason. Do all your work as if you're doing it for God Himself. That's a you blessing. There's a lot of times He's going to tell you to do stuff you don't want to do. I don't want to drive this truck. I like driving a truck. I you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure women like flowers till they work in a flower shop. You know what I mean? Come out here and drive for 3.6 million miles. Tell me if you're tired of traffic. You're tired of traffic right now. Rock Hill. I love y'all.